You've been speaking it your entire life, yet no one ever explained what it truly unlocks. The Lord's Prayer is not merely a prayer. It is a spiritual mechanism. Every sentence is a cipher, a concealed blueprint, not for heaven after death, but for the kingdom already alive within you now. Jesus never instructed people to repeat it like a charm. He said, pray in this way, because this was never meant for empty repetition. It was designed to awaken you. And once its meaning becomes clear, you will never speak it the same way again. If something within you always sensed there was more, if the word stirred your spirit but the church offered silence, then you are not simply curious, you are remembering. Let us decode the Lord's Prayer together, and by the end of this video you will not merely recite it, you will remember what it truly is. A spiritual activation, a cosmic sequence, a pathway back to your original self, not the one religion shaped you into, but the one God formed in secrecy before the world assigned you a name. Let us begin. Let us return to the beginning, not with religion, not with doctrine, not with memorized ritual. Let us start with the first breath of the prayer, the line you have likely spoken your entire life, yet perhaps never truly felt, Our Father, who art in heaven. Do not rush past that sentence. Those few words carry more power than most people realize. It is not simply an opening, it is an ignition. That first word, our, lands differently when you truly hear it. Not my, not thy, but our. The moment those words leave your lips, a shift occurs. The ego begins to loosen. You stop praying as an isolated self, reaching for a distant God, and begin praying as part of something vast. You are not alone in this. You never were. You are speaking as part of the body, a hidden fellowship of souls, all stretching toward the same light. You are not merely addressing God. You are stepping back into the remembered family of the divine, the forgotten ones, the wanderers, the seekers, all of us carrying a memory we could never fully explain, that we come from something higher and that it is calling us home. That single word, our, may seem small, but it is a thread, and the instant you speak it, you are already woven back into something sacred. Then comes the second word that was mistranslated as misunderstood, and turned into a weapon. Father. Clear the church image from your mind for a moment. Jesus did not speak English. He did not say Father, the way we think of Dad. He used the Aramaic word abun, a word layered with meaning. Father, mother, source, womb, breath giver. So when Jesus spoke this line, he was not saying dear man in the sky. He was saying beloved source from which all things are born. That means you are not born from error. You did not begin in shame. You are not a fallen being crawling toward worthiness. You emerged from abun, from divine breath, divine intelligence, divine intention. And in that single word he is reminding you of who you truly are. A spark from the source. Not an orphan trying to earn love through behavior, but a child of the infinite already held within it. Religion turned this prayer into performance. Jesus made it a return. Then he says something even more radical. Who art in heaven? Most people stop thinking here. They picture clouds, golden gates, a throne, a distant reward for good behavior. But Jesus never pointed upward. Not once. He said the kingdom of God is within you. So when he says who art in heaven, he is not describing location. He is describing dimension. Heaven is not up there. It is in here. It is the space within you that still remembers God. The untouched place, the garden beneath the noise, the part of you that was never wounded. So when you say, Our Father, who art in heaven, you are not reaching outward. You are calling back the part of you that already knows, the part that never left the garden, the part that never stopped being holy. That is who this line is speaking to. The real power emerges when you stop saying it from your throat and start saying it from remembrance. Not memory of the mind, but memory of the soul. Because this is not just a greeting, it is a return. You are not praying to a distant deity. You are returning to the source within. You are waking from the illusion of separation. You are not a sinner begging for mercy. You are a soul remembering its lineage. This first line is Jesus taking your hand and leading you back to where it all began. Not in guilt, not in fear, but in divine origin. So the next time you whisper that line, do not repeat it like a child hoping to be noticed. Speak it like one who remembers where they came from. Speak it like one who knows. Heaven is not later. It is not elsewhere. It is within you, and it has been waiting. Because the next line is where everything shifts. This is where Jesus introduces a vibration, a name, a frequency. One religion translated as holy, but it carries far more power than that. And when you speak it correctly, it does not just honor God, it begins to awaken you. Let us go there next. Hallowed be thy name. Most people pass right over this line. It sounds poetic, ancient, like something whispered in a cathedral while the organ plays. But Jesus was not being poetic. He was revealing a key. He was not saying respect God's name. He was saying the name itself is the gateway. And here is what few are told. The name of God was never fully pronounceable. Not in the way we understand language. In Hebrew tradition, it was 4 letters. Yod, He, Vav, He. Not a word, not a title, but a vibration, a breath. It was so sacred that the high priest would never speak it aloud, not even privately, because it was not made of syllables. It was made of being. It was the pulse behind creation, the breath that formed galaxies. The whisper before time itself had a name, and Jesus knew that. So when he said, "Hallowed be thy name," he was not referring to a distant title on parchment. He was saying, let the vibration of God's presence awaken within you again. Religion turned the name into a weapon, something forbidden, guarded by fear and doctrine. Jesus came to return it to your lungs, your bones, your daily life, so you would not just speak the name, you would embody it. Every breath you have ever taken has been unknowingly speaking it. Yod, inhale, He, exhale, Vad, inhale, He, exhale. Every living being speaks the name of God without realizing it. That is how close God is, closer than thought itself. Before you spoke, breath was already given to you. You are shaped from that breath. That is what Jesus meant. Hallowed be thy name is not passive reverence. It is spiritual rebellion, a reawakening of the divine name within you. It is a call to reclaim what was taken, to return to what already lives in your lungs. So when you whisper this line, do not say it mechanically. Feel it. Pause. Let your breath become the sanctuary. Jesus was never giving you a prayer to memorize. He was restoring the original connection. He was not pointing upward. He was pointing inward. The name is not a sound on your lips. It is a light in your spine, a breath in your body, a memory in your soul declaring you come from the same source. You are still connected. You were formed in the name, breathed into existence by that name. And whenever you forget who you are, this line brings you home. Let it not only be sacred in heaven, let it be sacred in me. Want to know why your prayers have felt empty? Why you spoke the words but felt no presence? Because the words were never meant to exist without breath, remembrance and alignment. This line retunes you. It brings your human frequency back into harmony with the source. That is the hidden power of this prayer. Jesus did not teach it as words alone. He gave it as a spiritual tuning instrument. Each line carries divine resonance. And this line, hallowed be thy name, clears the static. It prepares you for what follows. Because when you re-honor the name, you reawaken the relationship. The kingdom begins to rise within you once more. So now you see the name was never outside you. It was woven into your breath, waiting for the moment you would remember. But if the name was hidden in the breath, then what else did Jesus conceal in plain sight? The next line of the prayer carries the most dangerous words ever spoken, words that shook empires, words the church tried to soften, because they didn't just expose God's will, they exposed yours. And if you truly grasped their meaning, you wouldn't merely speak them, you would release. We're about to decode it, but I must warn you, what follows will fracture what you were taught about God, and uncover what you were truly born to bring into this world. Ready? Let's enter the next code. Thy kingdom come. You've likely spoken it hundreds of times, maybe thousands, but have you ever paused, truly paused, to ask, where is this kingdom? What is it? And why did Jesus say to summon it rather than wait to enter it? This line is not about waiting to die and drift away to some golden place in the sky. It's not about pearly gates or clouds or harps, or an endless after party. This line is the heartbeat of Jesus' entire teaching. It's the thunder beneath everything he spoke. Because the kingdom isn't up there. It's not later. It's here. It's now. The kingdom is within you. He said it plainly. The kingdom of God is within you. Not in temples, not in churches, not in rituals, robes or religion. It already lives inside you, coded into your being. And this line is the activation command. When you say, thy kingdom come, you're not pleading with heaven to save you. You're calling the divine blueprint back into your body, your breath, your choices, your day. It's a sacred rebellion against the false world, a remembering of what is real. Because here is the truth no one told you in Sunday school. The world you live in now, the chaos, the corruption, The soul-draining routine is not the kingdom, it's the counterfeit, the false empire that rose while we forgot who we were. But when Jesus taught this line, he wasn't addressing helpless sinners. He was speaking to awakening kings, to queens in exile, to those who had forgotten their crown. This line is not just a request, it is a declaration. It is the return of divine order. It is the real you rising inside the false you and declaring, no more sleep, no more exile. The kingdom is coming through me, because that's how it works. It doesn't fall from the sky. It arrives through the awakened one, through the soul that says, I'm done waiting, I'm done wandering. Let heaven break in right here, right now. And here is where it deepens. When you say, thy kingdom come, you are not only calling for a new world, you are agreeing to become the vessel through which that new world is born. That's why this line terrified religious powers, because it doesn't only speak of God's dominion, it speaks of your divine assignment. You are the landing place. You are the bridge between what is and what will be. You are the doorway through which the kingdom returns. And the moment you mean this line, not recite it, but burn it into your bones, the illusions around you begin to shake, because the old empire cannot survive once the kingdom starts flowing through you. You may feel resistance. People may call you extreme, lost, deluded, or dangerous, but that is how you know it's working. That is how you know you were born to bring the kingdom. You, not only Jesus, not only prophets or saints, you. And here is the secret they never told you. The kingdom does not arrive by force. It comes through alignment. When your inner world mirrors heaven, peace, clarity, truth, divine will, then your outer world reshapes around it. Heaven is not a destination. It is a frequency. It is a mirror. You do not merely enter it. You become it. And when you do, everything changes. Not always instantly, not always comfortably, but with every breath aligned to that kingdom, you become a walking Eden. You become the proof that the divine never left, because now it lives in you. And before we move on, there is one more mystery here. The line does not say, let the kingdom come to me. It simply says, thy kingdom come, because it was never about receiving something from outside. It was about releasing what was already inside. And that, my friend, is what makes you dangerous to the old world. You are not here to escape Earth. You are here to restore it. If you are still here, it means the code is alive within you. Most scroll past, but you stayed, not out of curiosity, but out of memory. Something inside you is rising, not new, just forgotten. You have felt it for years. The fractures, the missing pieces, the echo in the silence, when no one else could hear. But this is your signal. So pause, breathe, mark this moment as sacred. Click the like button, not for the algorithm, but as a torch, a flare. For the others like you still wandering, click subscribe to hold the line, to remain tethered to the awakening. And in the comments, leave your mark. I am waking up. That is not a phrase, it is a vow, a ripple, a remembering. So you remembered, you marked it, you felt the stirring, the ache, the knowing. But now comes the deeper challenge, because the next line in the Lord's Prayer is not just a prayer, it is a summons. Most people believe it means surrendering to a distant God's control. But what if I told you this line is actually a blueprint for awakening the kingdom within, and that heaven is not where you are going, it is what you are here to bring? Let's decode it. Thy will be done on earth, as it is in heaven. You have heard this line countless times, but almost no one understands what it truly means. Thy will be done. For centuries it was taught as surrender to fate, as if God were a distant king, and you a lowly servant awaiting command. So people surrendered their power, accepting suffering as God's mysterious plan. Tragedy, His will. Pain, His will. Oppression, even that, His will. That is not what Jesus meant. He was not teaching blind obedience. He was teaching sacred alignment. The Aramaic word Jesus used was not will as we define it. It was sina, a word meaning sacred desire, deep creative intention, the impulse of the divine to express and become. So what if this line was never meant to shrink you, but to awaken the divine longing within you? Thy will be done is not about stepping aside. It is about becoming the path, allowing the intention of the divine to move through you, shape through you, express through you. And then comes the most misunderstood line in the entire prayer. On earth, as it is in heaven. Most hear that, and imagine clouds, harps, and golden gates. But Jesus was not speaking of a place you reach when you die. He was describing a realm you manifest while you live. Heaven to him was not a location. It was a state of being, a condition of soul alignment. a realm of complete coherence, between the inner and the outer. So when he said on earth, as it is in heaven, he was handing you a blueprint. He was saying what is true in the invisible must become true in the visible. What is whole in the spirit must become whole in the body. What is divine in the heavens must be born through your hands, your words, your relationships, your daily breath. He was not praying for escape. He was praying for incarnation, and that turns everything inside out. You were never born to escape this world and wait for extraction. You were born to transform it, to let earth echo heaven, to become a living sanctuary where the sacred breaks through. You are the threshold. You are the landing ground. And if you still believe heaven is only for later, somewhere else, someday, then religion has succeeded in veiling your calling. Because here's the truth they never explained. Heaven is not a location. It is a frequency, a dimension. It is not over. It is here, but only perceived by those who resonate with it. And hell is separation. It is amnesia of identity. It is living without the reflection of the divine in your own eyes. You do not travel to heaven or hell. You radiate one or the other based on what you align with. So what is the will of God? That the divine be revealed through flesh, that eternity be reflected through time, that you become the place where the invisible becomes visible. This is not passive. This is priestly. Thy will be done is not surrender. It is a summons to remember, to rise, to restore what was fractured. Because if earth is meant to mirror heaven, then your life must become the sanctuary. And if heaven is within you, if the kingdom is no longer a distant promise, then you are not waiting for something to arrive. You are being called to embody it, but embodiment requires sustenance, a hidden nourishment, a daily initiation, because the next line in the Lord's Prayer is not about bread from an oven. It speaks of forgotten manna, the food that feeds divine memory. And once you taste it, you will never again swallow the lies of the world. They taught us this line was about survival, as though Jesus, the living presence of God, was teaching us to beg for scraps, as though the sacred prayer were nothing more than a spiritual shopping list. But something far deeper is encoded here, because those with eyes know this line is a gateway, a riddle concealing something ancient, something mystical, something not about bread at all, at least not the kind you purchase. When Jesus said, "Give us this day our daily bread," he was not addressing the body. He was speaking to the inner being, the true self, the one that exists beyond time, the one that does not need food to live, but remembrance to remain awake. And that word daily is not what we assume. In the original Greek, it is a strange, nearly untranslatable word, epiousios. It does not mean daily, in the ordinary sense. It means superessential, beyond material substance, not merely today's bread, but the bread of the coming age, nourishment from another realm. This was not about God handing you a meal. It was about learning to receive the frequency of heaven moment by moment. In the ancient temple, the priests did not merely request bread. They tended something holy, called the showbread, the bread of presence. It rested on the golden table in the holy place, always before the face of God. 12 loaves, one for each tribe, continually renewed, never permitted to grow stale. It was not sustenance alone. It was a reminder that God's presence is the true provision, and that forgetting him was starvation. Jesus, who knew this symbol intimately, was awakening memory. When he spoke those words, he was saying, every morning you rise, return to presence, return to what is real. Do not simply eat, commune, do not merely survive. Remember, this is what prayer truly is, not asking but tuning, aligning with what nourishes the soul, not just the body. And here's the paradox that changes everything. You are not only the one receiving the bread, you are being invited to become it. I am the bread of life, Jesus said. He was not pointing to food, he was pointing to a frequency, a way of being so unified, so radiant in God, that your very presence feeds those around you. The world is starving, not for calories, but for light, for coherence, for wholeness. And you who are awakening, are the answer hidden in plain sight. So when you pray, give us this day our daily bread, you are not asking for more. You are asking to remember what you already carry. You are asking to become the one who walks as bread, a living communion, a daily offering, not only fed, but feeding. But there is a reason most cannot receive this bread, a reason they remain hungry no matter how much they pray. Something obstructs the flow, something ancient and unresolved, a weight they carry, a debt left unexamined.
And unless that hidden code is unlocked, even sacred bread will decay in their hands. And that leads us to the next line. The most dangerous prayer ever uttered. Forgive us our debts, not a request, but a spiritual principle. Those who misunderstand it remain bound across lifetime. Let us decode it. You were never meant to carry this for so long. The betrayals, the wounds, the moments frozen in your chest that never melted. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, was not a polite moral teaching. It was a mystical key, a reversal of spiritual gravity. Because when you cling to their debt, you cling to your own. And the truth no institution dared to voice is this: God is not keeping the ledger, you are. Every grievance is a shackle, every unspoken resentment is a sealed gate. Every story where you remain the victim keeps your soul kneeling before the same locked threshold. To forgive is not to erase memory, it is not denial of pain, it is choosing to stop bleeding from a wound you did not create. It is stepping out of the courtroom where the ego replays the trial endlessly, hoping the verdict will heal the soul. It never does. Judgment is a loop, forgiveness is the only exit. And here's what debts truly meant in the ancient language: unpaid dues, energetic bond, contracts left open, pulling at the soul like spiritual IOUs. Some are recent, some began in childhood, some were carried across lifetimes. And here is the mystery: you cannot be freed from what you are still enforcing on another. That is why Jesus joined the two. Forgive us as we forgive. He was revealing a law, a pattern, a mirror. The path out is release. Release them, not because they deserve it, but because you were never meant to remain chained to their shadow. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is liberation, it is resurrection. And the moment you offer it, you unbind yourself, you open the vault, you shift timelines. Heaven does not flow through clenched hands. And here is the final test. What if the one you are called to forgive is the face looking back at you in the mirror? Yet forgiveness is not the end, it is the cleansing before the fire. Because next comes the encounter with evil itself, not the cinematic version, but the subtle one that hides in plain sight, the one that seduces, whispers, and disguises itself as light. We are about to unveil the most dangerous line in the entire prayer: lead us not into temptation. And once you grasp its meaning, you will never see desire or darkness the same way again. Are you ready for the final descent? Lead us not into temptation. You were taught this was about weakness, about shame, about resisting small sins, closing tabs, saying no to pleasure. But what if this line was never about avoiding darkness? What if it was about surviving false illumination? Because the real temptation is not found in shadows, it is found in brilliance that blinds. In the original Greek, the word is not desire, it is paras, a word meaning test, proving, trial by fire. This is not about escaping temptation, it is about walking through the furnace, without mistaking the flame for home. Temptation never arrives as evil, it arrives as a shortcut, it arrives as your own voice whispering, "You've suffered enough, take the crown now." Jesus did not merely resist sin in the wilderness, he resisted the shortcut. The adversary offered him kingdoms, glory, influence, instant authority, and he declined, not because the kingdoms were wicked, but because the timing was wrong. Because a crown without a cross is always counterfeit. This is what many never realize. Temptation is rarely about pleasure, it is about premature power, the offer to obtain what your soul desires, without the death that prepares you to carry it. So this line in the Lord's Prayer is not begging to avoid hardship, it is a code, a declaration. Lead me not into illusions that confuse ego with destiny. Lead me not into glittering lies. Let the fire refine me, but never let me fall asleep within it. Because fire is holy, but only if you pass through it. Remain too long, and it distorts you. Run too soon, and the treasure remains buried. This sentence gives you permission to endure, not to run. It is the voice of a soul that remembers. I don't need to prove myself to anyone except God. I don't desire a crown forged from fear, desire, or compromise, because the real danger of temptation is not simply in falling to it, it is in constructing a life around the fragments it reveals. And many have done exactly that. Many now sit on counterfeit thrones, wearing crowns placed on their heads by shadows, and they don't even realize it. But you are being summoned upward, not to the avoidance of failure, but to the refusal to betray the divine seed within you. Whatever was placed before you, you have been tested, you may still be, And if you've stumbled before, understand this: the test only turns poisonous when you allow it to name you, but when you recognize it for what it truly is, a flame, meant to burn away what cannot remain. You rise with clean hands and a clarified crown. There is one line left, one final enigma. It isn't merely about evil. It isn't about a red figure with horns or a destructive habit. It is about the ancient wound, the thing that seeks to claim ownership over you, and the only power that can ever free you from it. In the next chapter we will reveal the final seal of the prayer, the deliverance key, hidden beneath centuries of fear and silence. Are you ready to remember what evil truly is, and what you were born to do with it? Deliver us from evil. This is where most people pause, shut their eyes, whisper amen, and walk away believing it's about protection from frightening things. But this line is not a request for safety. It is a summons, because evil is not only violence, darkness, or demonic imagery. In the ancient language, it is punaru, meaning the afflictor, the burden bearer, the force that exhausts the soul. It is what keeps you trapped in loops, in fear, in cycles of punishment, so old you mistake them for personality. This evil is not external. It is the wound that murmurs, "You are unworthy. You will always be stuck. You are what happened to you." It is the inner jailer, the quiet tormentor that speaks using your own voice. So when Jesus says, "Deliver us from evil," he is not teaching us to beg for protection. He is teaching us to identify the parasite, the subtle presence that feeds on unhealed pain, the false self that was born the day you were wounded, and learn to wear a mask just to survive. The evil we ask to be delivered from is the lie we turned into an identity. Deliver us is not passive. It is a tearing, a casting out, a fierce reclaiming of the soul. It is the moment you declare, "I remember who I am, and I reject the name pain gave me. I renounce the identity trauma constructed for me. I release the false voice that speaks in the accent of shame." This is exorcism, not of red-eyed demons, but of inherited self from the mother wound, the absent father, religious shame, the guilt of being gifted, the fear of being chosen. Evil does not want your body. It wants your story. It wants to convince you that you are broken, that you will never be pure enough, worthy enough, Christ-like enough, that you should hide your gift, soften your truth, and remain safe in cycles that slowly suffocate your soul. But you were not born to merge with bondage. You were born to carry fire, to become the kind of human evil cannot cling to. This line, "Deliver us from evil," is not a request to avoid pain. It is a call to awaken the real you, the one before the fall, before the labels, before the names that were never yours. Because the evil one's greatest strength is not in what he does, but in who he persuades you that you are. And this line shatters that illusion. You are not your trauma. You are not your shadow. You are not the echo of generational wounds. You are the one who came to end. This was not merely a video. It was a key, and you did not arrive here by accident. You followed a pull you couldn't explain, and this hidden understanding was the reward your soul was waiting for. Click the like button, not for me but as a declaration, a sacred response, your way of saying I heard the call, and now I remember. Then subscribe, not to follow, but to remain aligned with this awakening path within you. Every video we release is part of this unfolding, and your presence here shapes what comes next. And if something cracked open inside you, go deeper. This moment is a crossing. One path leads back to sleep, the other leads straight into the fire of remembrance. You already know which one is yours. This was your signal. Go in peace. Or if you still have time, watch another awakening video on our channel, and feed your soul.